Hello, everybody. Dave D here. Glad to have you with me. Looking forward to talking to you here today about where all effective lead generation starts. Here's what we're going to talk about. And this is a micro mini class here. And so we should be done with this in about 20 minutes, and then I'll take whatever questions you have. So feel free to enter your questions into the chat box really at any point. Okay, so let's get rocking and rolling with this thing. The first thing is what you're going to discover. Number one is how to absolutely nail your lead generation message, regardless of the media that you're using. So whether you are using Facebook, or whether you are using LinkedIn, or whether you're using direct mail or Google search or whatever it is, doesn't really matter. Okay, as long as you follow these principles, you're going to be in really good shape with your messaging. All right, the next thing is the number two things that your lead generation must accomplish. Most people actually miss this important element of their lead generation. All right, so let's talk about first what your lead generation must accomplish. The first thing it needs to accomplish is that it needs to be attract your ideal clients. Okay, so you must attract your ideal clients. And then the second thing it needs to accomplish is that it needs to repel the folks that are not right for you, the folks that are not right for you. Those two things are important. And the first one is obvious, right? We want to attract the people who are best suited for us. But where we go wrong with this is not the second piece of it, which is to put in who we don't want. Now, there's a number of reasons for doing that. One is, especially if you're doing consultations or strategy sessions, you really don't want to be talking to folks who aren't qualified to work with you. Kind of gums up the entire system. But also, when you put in your lead generation marketing who you're not for, what happens is it strengthens in the minds of the people who you are for that you are the correct person to be working with them. All right. So again, lead generation needs to accomplish two things. The first is attract the people you want to attract. And the second thing is repel the people who you don't want, who are not ideal for you. So that's a fundamental principle. Now, let me give you the big question that you need to answer regardless of how you are generating leads. Remember, this isn't about the technical pieces of generating leads. This is just about the psychology behind attracting your very best leads. And so I want you to write this down. If you don't have a notepad or something handy, make sure you get one quick. You want to write this question down. Here's the big question you must answer if you want to create effective lead generation. The question is this: what outcome is your prospect looking for? What outcome is your prospect looking for? Not what your service is. So for example, let's say that you're an estate planning attorney. People are not looking for an estate plan, right? Let's say you're for a financial advisor. The outcome that people want is to not have a retirement plan. That's not the outcome. That is the thing that is going to get them to the outcome that they desire. So in almost every lead generation ad that I see, again, regardless of media, everyone messes this up. They're not focusing on what the outcome is, what the result is that the prospect wants to achieve. So what is the outcome of the service that you offer or the product that you're selling? That's what you want to start with. Now, there's some additional questions that'll help you refine this. And here those questions are. The first question is, what is your prospect frustrated with? So when you think about your ideal prospect, what are they frustrated with? Next question is, what are they worried about? What are they worried about around the product or the service that you're selling? Next question to ask yourself and answer is, what are they scared of? Is there something that scares them? The next question is, what are they hoping to achieve? So, what outcome are they hoping to achieve from buying your product or service or working with you? And then the final question to ask is, how do they feel now versus how they want to feel? Right? So, how do they feel right now? The reason that they're coming to you is that there's certain emotions that are going on. The reason that they're searching for you or searching for a solution is because they feel a certain way and they want to feel a different way. So the question is, with your prospects, how do they feel now versus how do they want to feel? Now, so once you get those questions answered, now you can construct a powerful lead generation ad, regardless of whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Google search, Bing, whatever it is. It doesn't, a newspaper, it doesn't make any difference. So you see, crafting the proper message makes all of the difference in the world. As I mentioned in an email that I sent out today to my list, is that I'm not an expert at how Facebook works and how to create audiences and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't know the first thing about how to use LinkedIn or Google search or any of that stuff. But I don't need to know that because I can hire people who are experts in those particular fields. By the way, you do want to hire individual experts. Be very wary of the person that says that they can do it all for you. That's just a little aside. But what you need to become an expert in is not how the technically it works, but the messaging. Because if you get the messaging correct, and you put that messaging in front of prospects, good prospects, you're going to get results regardless of the media that you're using. So let me give you a simple example, and we're going to go back about 20 years, or actually 23 years, back in the day when I decided, hey, I'm going to live my dream of being a professional magician. So I had to make a decision at that time. What area was I going to go into? And because I didn't have a job, I was in debt. I needed to think to myself, what's the quickest way for me to start making money? And so I decided that the quickest and easiest way to start making money as a magician was to do kids' birthday parties. Now, later on, I got out of that and I did high-end corporate stuff. But in the beginning, I'm like, hey, I got to bring in some cash. I know that the corporate stuff's going to take a lot longer. And so the first thing that I did is I thought about who my prospect was. Well, and to do kids' birthday parties, as you probably guessed, my prospect was moms. So the next question that I asked myself is, where can I find these moms? Where can I find them? Now, I could advertise in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, right? So there's no question that moms are reading that publication, but there'd be a lot of waste in that, meaning there's a lot of people who were reading that who were not my prospects, and it would be super expensive. So I found that there were 3 different local magazines, parenting magazines. And when I looked in those magazines, guess what? There was a section for entertainers to advertise in. And so I noticed that all of my would-be competitors were advertising in these 3 magazines. Now, that is an excellent sign. So a lot of people, when they think about lead generation, they think, well, man, I want to find somewhere where my competitors aren't so I can dominate it. But the truth is that if there's a bunch of people advertising their services and they've been advertising for a while in that same publication, number one, either they're really dumb because they're doing no tracking, or number 2, it's working for them. So I decided that's what I needed to do because that's where my prospects were. Now, as I looked through all of those ads in the entertainer section, I noticed a commonality. Every single one of the entertainers was talking about themselves and their service. So all the other magicians were like, hey, Jonathan the Great, Bill the Amazing Magic Show. That was like their headline. And so they were breaking the first rule, which is it's not about you. It's not about your service. It's about what your prospect wants, the outcome that they desire. So I asked myself the questions, same questions I gave to you. What outcome is it that my prospect desired? Well, my prospect again was a mom. And so I thought to myself, well, she wants to make her child's birthday party really great, really fun. And then a secondary thing that she wanted was she kind of wanted to make it hassle-free for herself. Now, the main motivation was to give her child an incredible birthday party, but the second motivation was that she wanted to make it hassle-free on herself. So the headline that I constructed, which is very, very basic, but again, nobody else was doing it. They were all talking about their service and about themselves. I came up with a headline, How to Make Your Child's Birthday Party Unforgettable and Fun. That was the headline. I didn't mention that it was magic at that point. And then in the body copy of this tiny little lead generation ad, I discussed how I did a magic show and how it would be hassle-free for the mom, so on and so forth. So I took the major outcome that my prospect wanted to achieve, and I turned that into a headline. And then in the body copy, I expanded upon it. And then, of course, there was a call to action. And that was my first lead generation ad. And guess what? My phone started ringing off of the hook. In fact, the ad was so powerful that I actually eventually got a letter from a competitor of mine telling me that I was hurting his business. and I was taking food off of his table. So I don't know what he actually wanted me to do with that. But the point is, when you nail this, when you nail the messaging, when you get inside your prospect's head and determine what they want and make the ad about the outcome that they desire and not about you and not about your service, you're going to get tremendous results regardless of the media that you're using to generate leads in. Final thing that I'll say, and I kind of passed over it quickly, but it is important and it ties in when we're talking about lead generation. You want to be where your prospects are. So, for example, everyone and their brother's going on Facebook to advertise. Nothing wrong with Facebook. Maybe that's where your prospects are, but maybe that's not the best vehicle for you. So I work with an attorney in Los Angeles, and she advertised, she lead generated first in the LA Times, very expensive. But then she also advertised in a little tiny local newspaper, a local tiny, like almost a newsletter type of thing. And guess what? She got more leads from that because that's what her prospects were reading. So when you combine those two things, having a message which directly speaks to the outcome that your prospect desires, and it's about them and not about you, and put it in front of your best prospects, it's really that simple. You're going to get tremendous, tremendous results. Now, by the way, if anyone has any questions about anything that I talked about specific to what you're doing, please feel free to enter them into the chat. If there are no questions, I'll wait for those questions to come in. If there are no questions, we will call it a day and we will end this mini course. By the way, if you are not already on getting my daily, what I call D-mails, I know, corny, but my daily D-mails, I'd recommend that you go to daved.com. Right now, you can subscribe absolutely free and get a great report on how to sell virtually. And again, that's at daved.com. So let me see if there are any questions here put into the chat. Let's see here. Jeffrey Wolf says, asking powerful questions makes a massive difference. Thanks, Dave. You are welcome, Jeffrey. Yeah. So the questions that you ask yourself about your prospects, that's where the breakthrough is going to come. Again, it's Most people, they don't really get this. Even so, I want you to really think about it. The question is, what is the outcome that your prospect wants to have from getting your service? They don't want your service. They don't want your service. It's almost as if, so here they are, right? Here's your prospect. Here's the outcome that they desire. What they would really like, by the way, is, and then you're in the middle. So you're kind of blocking them from the outcome that they desire. What they would really like is to just bypass you and get the outcome, but they can't do that. So the way that we talk about it is, hey, by working with me, you're going to get this result. All right, let's see here. Sherman says, I like the short format. Yeah, these are just like little mini classes that I'm going to be doing practically every Friday right around this time. All right. So again, if you're on my email list, you'll be alerted to these. Because I want you to be able to take the information and like apply it and use it and grow your business. That's why I do this stuff. What was your, Tim asks, what was the call to action in your magic ad? The call to action was to give me a call. So it was a telephone number that rang. I used I think I eventually got a separate number, but in the beginning, I just used my home number. I think, I don't really remember, but the call to action was to give me a call. That's what I wanted to do. Just as an aside, I never answered that live. It went to an answering machine, that had the tape. Maybe you're too young, Tim, to know, but they used to have the cassette tapes. And the message basically said, hey, thanks so much for calling. This is Dave D. Thanks so much for calling about how to make your child's birthday party unforgettable. I'm not available right now. Odds are I'm probably out performing, but I will get back to you today or within the next 24 hours. So again, I had that positioning right away. The next thing is Joseph. I'm sorry, Joseph, I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Do you recommend someone to do social media marketing? You know what? I don't have someone who's great at that who I would recommend. And the problem is what you really want to be searching out is someone who is a specialist in your particular business. So for example, if you're a financial advisor, the folks that just focus on financial advisors, that's even better than finding just a specialist. Let's see here. So Alfredo, you're going to have to watch the replay, my man. But the main question is, what is the outcome your prospect desires from working with you or from buying your product or service? They don't want your product or service. They want the outcome that it gets. And that you construct your lead generation ad around that. Let's see here. Michael. Hey, Michael. Michael says Michael's an Inner Sanctum VIP. He says he loves the short format. I do too. Ken, great stuff as usual, Dave. Thank you, Ken. Jeffrey, how can I validate my thinking is accurate about what the prospect wants before investing in ads? I would just put the ads out there and don't spend a ton on it. Okay. But I would just put it out there. That's the best way to do it. Let's see here. I like this mic rotating. It's like having a live version of the D-mail. Great idea. I should use it in my business. Well, yeah, you most certainly should. The micro trainings are great. And it is like getting the D-mail. Okay, let's see here. Bill said, will this video be available for repeat? Yes, it'll be on my YouTube channel as well as in Vimeo. So yes, it will be. And I'll send out a link to the folks that are on my D-mail list. Tim Turner says, thanks, Dave. Got to run. Hey, Tim, great having you here, man. Derek says, how do you use your daily D-mail for lead generation? Well, I am generating leads inside my own list. Okay. So I don't broadcast my daily D-mail as lead generation, but I'm doing it inside my own list. So I did it yesterday. Or I did it earlier this week. So one of the things that my business really focuses on helping people put on a kick-ass virtual events that sell. And so I basically wrote something about that. And so lead generated inside my own list. The call to action was to email Karen and to get more information about that. And we got inquiries about it. So that's how I use the daily D-mail to lead generate inside my own list. Let's see here. There was another question that I missed. Um, uh, to contact me, Igor, very simply email support@daved.com, support@daved.com. Tell me, what you're interested in talking about, and we will take it from there. Okay. So I like to keep these right around the 20-minute mark, and we have hit the 20-minute mark. So we are right on time. Again, this will be made available in the 20 minutes. We shared a lot of information. Most importantly, I'm glad you're enjoying these short formats, but most importantly, I want you to use the material so you can get results. All right. That's it. Thanks, everybody. And I'll talk to you again